Hello, my name is Jose Rodriguez. I am the Director of IT Training for UVA Health, and I appreciate you having some time and giving me your attention for just a few minutes while I talk to you about the Unified Super User Program. So over the next few slides, we'll talk about the purpose of the program, who's involved, what it would do for us. Why does this even matter? The overall time frame, the communications plan, and then as well as a couple logistical points of interest that I wanted to highlight. The purpose of this program really is to create an overarching structure for all of our super user programs. So normally, super user programs are erected because of application implementation. So a group is identified as receiving a new Epic install application, and we pick some super users to get some advanced training and also serve as a resource for the rest of their team members that are undergoing training. As well, through new acquisitions, when we acquire a different facility, whether it be ambulatory or inpatient, we identify those super users again to have points of contact who are familiar with those team members in those different departments and units. And what has typically happened is after those implementations go live, the super user programs kind of fizzle out over time. And so what we're doing is we're going back to all of those who may have been interested in or may have functioned in the capacity of a super user in the past, or who are interested in becoming a super user in the future, and rolling them up into this program that we're calling the Unified Super User Program. And this stretches across the revenue cycle, the clinical teams, ambulatory as well. And we will be leveraging this for our new Epic implementations, whether it be a new application or an acquisition. As well, we're enhancing our overall engagement with operational leaders and team members to drive this collaboration and the accountability to ensure that both parties, us that we're providing top quality training and support, but also that our team members who are functioning in the capacity of a super user are indeed functioning as a super user in those departments. As well, we wanted to create some clear expectations, and in some cases, based on the role, creating some competency assessments. So we've been partnering with clinical informatics and specifically with nursing and nursing leadership to develop a nursing assessment for those nurses who are interested in becoming super users that they would take upon entry to the program, as well as on a yearly basis, just to ensure that there's no diminishing of skills. We want to provide a structured training resources, on a regular basis, including CBLs, learning modules, and other knowledge share sessions that we have scheduled on a monthly and also quarterly basis, aligned with our monthly bundle releases and our periodic upgrades. And we'll be working to maintain an updated list of active super users to ensure proper distribution of information, and that the communication remains fluid between the training team and clinical informatics and those who are deemed as super users. There's a bunch of people that's involved in this project, especially from my team and the training team, as well as clinical informatics. So we have Steve Allen from Training Services, who is functioning as the coordinator of this program. Myself and Michelle Lardner from Clinical Informatics, who are an organizer and co-organizer. We have Erica Salyards from the Revenue Cycle team, Stephanie Lee from Clinical Training, Jeff Carter from Clinical Informatics, Candice Howell from Revenue Cycle Training, as well as Joanne Barisi from Clinical Training, who are serving as chairs or co-chairs, and will assist with providing specific perspectives related to the applications that they serve. Again, as I mentioned, unifying all of the super user programs underneath of one structure, one umbrella, establishing governance and organization so that we don't have different programs functioning in different capacities, doing different things, very hard to keep track of. We have a super user teams channel where we're housing some of these resources and that we'll be using as a primary means of communication, along with our distribution list. And we'll talk about that in the next slide. We have our Sun, or Super User Network newsletter, which will be going out again to help us with the communication of those different enhancements and different tools and tricks that will help our clinicians on the front lines do their jobs, as well as creating a new and refined roles and expectations agreement that the incumbent as well as their managers would have to review and approve. I mentioned the competency-based assessments for nurses, which is underway. More importantly, again, we wanted to extend the reach of training in clinical informatics so that way we have real-time system troubleshooting into those departments instead of kind of guessing of what's going on based on different incidences that are submitted. But having a really an ear to the street and tied to those units or departments that are affected by different breaks and leveraging them to help us with the fixes and validating that indeed it has been fixed. As well, to help with communications, we've consolidated previously created inboxes and all of those other super user inboxes are now have forwards on them that will send these messages to the unified super users email address that multiple members of my team are managing on a regular basis. So I won't go through this whole process, but essentially when a team member has an interest in becoming a super user, the first thing that they would do is fill out the intake form. And that intake form goes to our team for us to vet to ensure that, number one, their managers are aware. If the managers are aware, and then we have an AMP process that's tied to this as well. And once the AMP is approved, then it triggers a notification to my team to assign different either competency assessments or CBLs of the art of being a super user, so that they can be familiar with what it is really like to be a super user. If they are required to take an assessment based on their role, then they will take that assessment, and there will be some guidelines around that. And it will be updating and monitoring the distribution list as well as our overarching list of super users to ensure that it is kept up to date and accounted for whenever there's attrition or transition from one department to another or responsibilities that may prevent our super users from functioning in that capacity. I mentioned the roles and expectations document which we have created, and it's been linked to some Connect articles as well. So there's been quite a large amount of interest as far as accessing this document to see what it is and what's expected for those who may want to be a super user. And I mentioned the intake form, which is essentially a smart sheet that we created to help us capture all the interest in one place, and also helping us to assign those team members who are interested to the right meetings and right distribution list. So as far as the timeline, this is all happening right now. As a matter of fact, we started a couple months ago or several months ago, and our official go live is scheduled for July 7th. The recruiting is taking place currently, and myself and members from the training team and clinical informatics are popping up at different meetings and different forums and rounding to talk about the super user program and all of the benefits. All right, let's see if this allowed me to play this little commercial that we created just to draw up a little interest.
Do you want to represent your unit or division and be an active collaborator in decision-making processes for Epic-related issues? Do you want to gain expertise in Epic? or have direct engagement with Epic training programs and clinical informatics? Do you want to have a voice in solving workflow issues? Or be a resource for outgoing support of system upgrades and downtimes? Are you ready to rise as a leader among your peers? If you answered yes to these questions, you should become an Epic super user. Scan this QR code to learn more about becoming an Epic super user.
And in scanning this QR code, it takes you to the intake form, which starts the process. That is essentially all that I have. So if you have any additional questions related to the Super User program, if somebody were to reach out to you to ask you or inquire about the program, just point them to the QR code or send them our way. You can send them to me directly or to the Unified Super User inbox. And we'll be happy to reply to them right away with all the details that they need. So I appreciate your time and attention over this the last about 11 minutes. And again, if you have any questions or thoughts, suggestions, please send them our way. Thank you.